Safety in using cranes. The purpose of this booklet. The booklet also aims to raise awareness of OSH concepts and procedures in the workplace, provide practical guidance and direction to employers, OSH responsible, employees and self-employed personnel on methods to improve OSH in the workplace, contribute in enhancing OSH culture in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Common types of cranes. Tower cranes. Tower cranes are the most common crane found on a construction site. They are usually operated from a cab below the lifting jib, so the operator has a good view of the lifting operation as it is carried out. They are assembled and erected on site. Tower cranes can be self-supporting where they are anchored to a concrete foundation or supported where they are attached to the side of the building that is being constructed. These are the two most common types of tower crane. Tower cranes are made up of the following parts. 1. Foundations or foundation anchors, underground. 2. Central ballast, concrete blocks above ground to provide stability. 3. The undercarriage cross-frame and bogies that form the base from which the tower rises. 4. Tower sections up to the height required. 5. Climbing units within the tower for access. 6. Slewing unit that allows the jib of the crane to rotate. 7. Horizontal jib, the main arm of the crane that contains the hook block and the trolley that the hook moves along on. 8. The counter jib, that houses the counterweight blocks and the hoist unit and hoist drum. Constituents of tower cranes: horizontal jib, trolley and hook for lifting, operator cabin, counter jib, counterweight, construction elevator, tower sections added up to the height required, central ballast, concrete blocks above ground to provide stability, foundations, mobile cranes. On construction sites, the wheel-mounted types are most common. Mobile cranes are normally used for short-duration lifting requirements and for medium to lighter weights. However, heavy-weight cranes could be used in large construction areas. They can be maneuvered to the required location on site. Crawler cranes. Crawler cranes are used for specific construction sites. Crawler cranes are normally used for heavy weights lifting requirements. It is used in large construction sites. They can be maneuvered to the required location on site. Tower cranes are made up of the following parts. 1. The structure, or central frame. 2. The wheeled mobile base, for transportation and stability purposes. 3. The main boom jib that extends upwards, this can sometimes be a telescopic jib. 4. Fixed and additional counterweights, to provide stability when lifting heavier loads. 5. The boom head and hook block, for lifting objects. 6. Outriggers, to ensure stability. 7. A driver's cab. Mobile cranes are made up of the following parts. Hook, jib, can also be a telescopic jib, luffing cylinder. Counterweight, crane operating cabin. Diesel engine. Outrigger beam. Outrigger plate. Constituents of crawler cranes: jib, can also be a telescopic jib. Hook. Counterweight, crane operating cabin. Continuous track. Self-erecting tower crane, a new type of jib crane, and are between telescopic handlers and large tower cranes in terms of size and capacity. Self-erecting tower cranes have a small on-site footprint. Self-erecting tower cranes are all pedestrian-operated, ensuring ease of use by way of remote control from ground level. Cranes have the ability to unfold in less than 15 minutes and fold away in less than 8 minutes once installed. Self-erecting tower crane are made up of the following parts: latticed boom, slewing platform, to allow the crane to rotate. Outriggers for stability. The winding drum. Boom guy lines. The hoist rope. The jib and jib guy lines. Hook. Constituents of self-erecting cranes. Jib guy line provides stability from horizontal loads. Jib. Hook. Boom point, latticed boom, slewing platform, winding drum, outrigger, provides support and stability. Gantry and overhead cranes. Manufacturing industry. Gantry cranes move along a fixed track and are typically constructed with two A-frames that run on parallel tracks connected cross members from which the lifting mechanisms are located. Overhead cranes differ in that the cross member moves along a fixed overhead track and are often located inside large workshops or industrial units. They can be operated from a cab beneath the lifting beam, or smaller versions are operated firm underground using a pendant hand control. Constituents of gantry cranes: hoist, trolley, hook, crane operating cabin. Foundations. Risks associated with cranes. What to watch out for. There are a number of risks associated with the use of cranes throughout its life cycle, from the arrival on site, during the erection of the crane, during use, and then finally when it is being dismantled or removed from site. These include: 1. Falling objects from the crane. 2. Collapse, overturning or catastrophic failure of the crane and or its lifting accessories. 3. Workers falling from heights. 4. Overloading the crane. 5. Collision with another crane and or structures nearby. Causes of crane accidents. Why do accidents happen? 1. Using unsuitable or damaged lifting and accessories. 2. Lifting material that is not packed and or secured properly. 3. Untrained and or incompetent crane operators. 4. Failure to maintain the crane and consistently check it for defects and damage. 5. Failure to erect the crane properly. 6. Failure to allow sufficient space between cranes and adjacent cranes and structures. Guidelines associated with the life cycle of the crane. 1. Planning crane operations. 2. Erecting the crane. 3. Operating the crane. 4. Management of operations. 5. Dismantling the crane. Planning crane operations. 1. Weights and dimensions of the load. 2. Number and frequency of lifting operations. 3. Range of movement of the crane. 4. Duration of operation. 5. Site access and restrictions. 6. Available space for erection and dismantling. Do's and don'ts. Ensure all operators and signalers are properly trained and are competent. Ensure all correct slings and chain combinations are used. Have a detailed plan and precautionary measures are in place. Don'ts: allow uncertified personnel to operate the crane and or work in its vicinity. Use damaged or uninspected slings and chains. Commence crane operations without a predefined plan and risk assessment in place. Erecting the crane. Allow a safe distance between the crane and the overhead power lines and or structures. Allow enough space around the crane for it to move unobstructed and function in its full range of movement. Ensure the crane is located on secure foundations and on suitable ground that can take the weight of the crane and the load. Ensure the crane is erected as per the engineering diagrams and instructions by a competent and experienced engineer. Do's and don'ts: perform frequent inspections and checks on the crane before operation commences. Ensure adequate space is provided between cranes and other structures. Ensure stability and levelness of the ground before installation. Don'ts: operate the crane until erection is complete and has been inspected and is deemed fit to use by engineers. Locate cranes close enough to each other allowing them to collide. Install crane on sloping or unstable ground. Operating the crane. Brief and inform all people involved in the lift about the schedule and plan of action of the crane. Ensure good communication between all working members and management. Ensure loads are not fixed to the ground. Cranes are not designed to detach loads from fixings. Ensure loads are properly secured by slings and or chains using tag line to steady the load if necessary. Ensure taking accurate and frequent wind readings and ceasing activities when wind reaches dangerous levels. Ensure fall prevention equipment are used to climb and descend the crane. Deploy outriggers and support them properly. Chock all wheels on inclined surfaces and ensure deploying the brakes. If used for a long period of time, ensure to lock control switches. Check the location for overhead power lines and obstacles. Only locate mobile crane on even, firm and dry ground. Do's and don'ts: schedule and plan all lifting operations. Ensure skilled and qualified operators and workers around the crane. Ensure uninterrupted communication between operator and signaler workers. Frequently check the weather and operate in safe conditions. Ensure load is not directly above people and or structures. Ensure stability, solidity and steadiness of the load. Don'ts: carry out any unplanned lifts. Allow untrained workers onto the crane. Lose contact between operator and signaler. Operate crane in adverse weather conditions. Carry loads over areas where workers are below the load. Carry split or unstable loads. Management of operations. Ensure lifting plans are communicated to all relevant management personnel. Ensure cranes are inspected on a regular basis. Ensure all safety precautions are in place and or followed. Ensure a rescue emergency plan is in place for workers in the vicinity of the crane. Provide barriers around the base of the crane to keep vehicles from colliding with it. Ensure PPE is worn by all workers on and around the crane. Do's and don'ts: Regularly check and maintain all crane parts. Ensure sufficient available space on solid ground before setting down the load. Ensure that the crane base is safe from vehicle collision and other hazards. Don'ts. Allow damaged or unmaintained cranes to be used. Set down the load unless there is enough space to so. Allow vehicles in the area close to the crane premises. Dismantling the crane. Plan the dismantling process meticulously with a full risk assessment. Ensure crane is locked when not in use to prevent unauthorized access. Lower load to ground level and UN attach when crane is not in use. Do's and don'ts. Ensure stability of the ground and its ability to take loads for prolonged periods of time. Ensure that the crane is solely switched off and locked when not in use. Ensure hook is properly stowed away at crane idle time and is completely dismantled before dismantling. Don'ts. Leave the crane on uneven, soft, or wet ground. Leave keys in the ignition when the crane is not in use. Leave hooks swinging freely when not in use for longer times.